take it away.
I can see your screen share. Okay, we're live. So hello everybody. Hello everybody on the live stream. Today we're talking about the PIVX brand with the guy who designed it. Actually, that's Chad, and yeah, he's talking about how to promote it, why we should promote it, and how we protect it, actually. Yeah, okay, Chet, you can start.
Awesome. So thanks for the opportunity. Hello, community out there in Google land, and those that have joined us in the group. It's going to be a great discussion. So I want to talk about branding for sure. And the thing with when we create a brand for a company, we just don't think about, graphics and colors. Most people think of logos. Some people might think of branding like this, the searing hot brand for cattle, but really when it comes down to it,
right now.
Oh, you can't now? Hang on a sec.
I thought you were giving it an intro, but
screen shares. How's that?
Here we go. Yep.
Looks painful, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but when people think about branding, a lot of times they think about logos, and this is where the miscommunication comes in when we talk about, a company that wants a logo, organization that wants a logo. They want to be branded, and they think, well, we need something that stands out in all of this fray, and I agree. But branding is really more than just the logo. It's about customer service. It's about benefits, about price and value propositions, making a strong impression. So, and you can see logo is just one small part of branding. And so we want to talk about more of the philosophy of branding to start with, and then just dive into PIVX and get your feedback into where we want to land as it relates to protecting the brand and who can use it and why. So just a quick overview of the branding objectives. So this will give everyone an opportunity to understand where Rhubarb Media, our company, along with the community, the original community that decided to rebrand from Darknet, hired us to do this, and we come at branding from these brand objectives. So I wanted to give these very quickly and settle into talking about PIVX. So brand objectives for us is really there's 5 things, 4 on this screen and the other ones on the other. But the 4 things we talk about is to help consumers see the brand as unique. So the brand needs to say what no other company is saying. So a unique look, a unique message, that's really important to us when we think about branding. And so the uniqueness is key. Number 2 is to convey a high level of relevance. So this is where you understand that a logo is really not relevant. That doesn't really do much. So relevancy is really the consumer needs to see the brand is essential to their daily lives. A really great brand is something that people can't do without, and they actually start calling everything that looks like that the brand. So you think of Kleenex as a good example. Or if you could ask for a tissue, but a lot of people just say, hey, can I have a Kleenex? And that's just in our culture. If this isn't relevant for other cultures, but that's just a good idea.
In Germany, it's Tempo. Yeah, maybe.
Okay, so we start to call common things that we use around our house with those that have been branded really well, right? So that's one idea of relevance. 3, to break out from the competition through differentiators, and this is critical, especially with crypto. Altcoins, 1,000 out there plus, and they're all competing. And but the brand needs to stand out in all areas: sales, marketing, product, service, client care. Number 4, to affect the customer at the level of their emotions. And this is a foundational element for Rhubarb when we brand companies, is that the consumer, the customer must feel deeply about the brand. That doesn't happen immediately. But over time, it's a really critical component to having a strong brand presence in the market. People feel deeply about you. And the bottom line is to cause the public to fall in love with you. you are the brand, and that's where we try to launch PIVX. Well, we chose the name, when we chose the shape, the icon, everything. It was really at the end is to add up all these objectives and the ultimate goal. And this isn't going to happen right out of the gate, but it sort of has happened with PIVX in the last month. There's a real genuine kind of like vibe. So I'm really impressed with the community and how the brand, not just the graphics, has really kind of pushed into the market. People are starting to, I would say, to fall in love with it, and that's critical. So the goal for us, I think for everyone, I hope, is that we want to create what's called a love mark. We just don't want to be a brand on its own. We don't want to just be a product, a commodity that people buy. We definitely don't want to be a fad where there's high love and low respect. We really want to see this intersection of love and respect create what is commonly known as a love mark, where there's high love and high respect. And that's going to take some time. So simply put, great brands move people from head to heart to hands. So they think deeply about the brand, the company, they fall in love with it, and then they buy stuff, they use it, they claim it. And that's pretty much, what we base our branding off of. And the question for today, how do we connect our message, our product or service? We have a product, we have a message, we have a service, with the right community. And we start by understanding the community you want to be a part of, not the one you want to market to. So that's kind of where we base everything off of when it comes to branding. So the thing to launch us into the conversation and the discussion is, I'd love to talk about who we are as a organization, as a community. I'd like to talk about why we're doing what we're doing. And from that who and why, we can really start to understand how we use the brand, the practical, tactical, logos and marketing tools, and what we're going to do with it ongoing. So that's the intro, and I'll open it up, and then we can continue the discussion around PIVX.
Okay, sounds good.
Anyone have any thoughts? Who are we? Why are we doing what we're doing?
We are a community-driven project.
Mm-hmm.
Change the world.
I see you all thinking.
I see Brian's lips moving, but I don't hear him.
Yeah.
Still don't hear you, Brian.
Yeah, Brian. I think your mic is broken.
So Sarah, you said it off the bat, and I think that's really key, and it's really been strong, is that PIVX is people, PIVX is community. And I think one thing I'm really excited about when it comes to branding PIVX is that was our goal, is to make PIVX about people. And I think that's come through really strong. So awesome job to the core and the people that have taken up the initial run with it. But I think it's getting out there. So that message around who we are and why we do what we do, I think community is continuing to be part of that.
Yeah, I think we're doing great at the moment. I mean, I just hope we can kind of maintain our focus and that our message and kind of what we're all about doesn't get too diluted. As I mean, I think the part of the issue is we've had literally thousands of people join our Slack recently. So I hope we can keep kind of that message going so it doesn't get lost amongst the noise.
Yeah, that's part of why I think the discussion was brought up, is because 2,000 plus heading to 3,000 people, and everyone's been asking, who owns the brand and where can I get the brand assets, and I want a logo, and then we start to see fan art come out, which is going to happen, and it's great. Sometimes we start to see some the logo being put on things that maybe we're not proud of, and so that just opens the discussion to, as a community, and those that are kind of spending most of the lion's share of the work are monitoring, or I know, a bad word, are guiding the community. What do we celebrate? How do we guide people to say, hey, the brand is really about this and not that? People will do what they want privately, and that's fine. They can put stuff on their channels, and we can't control that. But whatever ends up on, PIVX official should emulate the brand and the why and the who. But we're seeing stuff, being put up on Slack, and people want to share it, and people want to, comment on it. I think we need to have some sort of filter of saying, hey, that's not who we are. Great that you want to jump on this, but here's our core values, or here's our belief system around PIVX. Does it filter through that? And if not, we won't approve it, right?
So, Chad, I guess it's important that even if we see something that perhaps to us as an individual is funny, that's got to be backseat. First and foremost is, does it support the brand? And there's been a couple times where I wanted to chime in and say, hey, that's hilarious. But really, if it doesn't support the brand, even that comment should not happen. It should be more of like, bring it back on point, please, type thing. So.
Yeah, and you want to guide people. You want to encourage people. They're excited. They're passionate. They like the look, the graphics, maybe. But I think it's important that we filter it through the who and the why, and then we help people manage the how.
Chat, you're presenting a Slack message.
Yeah, so this is a good example. Mateus, who's I don't think is with us. Is he on or not? No.
Yeah, I'm here. Yep.
Hey,
Hello.
Mateo. Hey, why don't you just share? Can you share a little bit about this, because it fits right in with what I'm trying to say? So why don't you just explain this a little bit?
Yeah. First is Matthias. So I think that Sarah got it right.
Sorry, Matthias.
No, it's not a problem.
With the accent or without?
I
could do Matthias. I don't know if I can do it with the accent.
You get the accent right. It's Matthias.
Matthias.
No, the thing is that like the brand, I see that is kind of evolving. I don't know if you thought about this when you created, or if it's kind of the community taking it to another level. Because this thing that you are sharing here that I wrote, it was something that I don't think I was saying, like I see that somebody else said or something like that, because I don't remember that well. But it's about like trying to reinterpret PIVX more about like the community first and not the coin first. The thing is that what I see in other communities and what other people were talking, this morning there was one guy that was in several other Slacks, and they said like they are very cold. And basically they are very cold because they are developer Slacks. It is like our cold developer Slack. That is fine. You are there, you're just working in dev and you want to focus, and that is fine. But that's not only PIVX, it's just a part of it. And what I see at least is that communities are creating technology, are creating a coin that somebody else will use. And what I see with us is that we are using technology to try to create a currency for us. And that implies that sometimes we can use what others have done, like Bitcoin Core, or like what Dash has done before, or like base something on Zero Coin. And sometimes it will not be enough, what is already there, and we will have to have development. But that is kind of a means to get to the technology that we need. But this is I think the difference is like we are not just creating technology, we are using it, like directly using it and trying to use it right now. Even if the coin is going like to the roof, we are giving like 10 pips or like 100 pips to someone that did something right, and we know that they will go like I don't know how many times before, but we are really wanting to do a currency, and we really want to talk about it. And the fact that, for example, like we have inflation that is not enough at all at the moment, and it will not be enough for 3 years except that we change it, but at least we are thinking on that. Like at least we are trying to create the mechanisms to have some stability so the currency can work. And that's the what I wrote there is trying to reinterpret the name, the PIVX, instead of just saying private instant verified transaction, to try to be more about the core values that we all share.
Exactly.
And so like with P, you can think of several core values like people, passion, power. Privacy is also like a really important value to us, but it's one of several others. A very, like a massively important one, but it's one between others. And then you have like integrity, like intuition and other things, like you have like values or virtue. And then the X is, I think it's really nice. You were saying something about the X factor, like you can complete that. Like what do you bring on the table? What do you want us to be? And everybody that comes in has a different set of values, a skill set, experiences, like they live in different countries, like they have different set of problems that they want to solve using the tools that we will generate. And basically that's the thing, like how we evolve maybe the brand to try to be a little bit more inclusive with this view, and not only about we are just creating a coin.
Yeah. So
go ahead. Go ahead.
So what's for me as a perspective that's just remarkable is you know, the rebranding occurred within a community that largely hung out on BTC talk. Some people in Slack, some people on Skype, and it was a lot of the tech types, right? And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And the rebrand, you know, when the community decided, hey, we need to rebrand this, we need to, you know, move from the darknet branding, which was of course done sort of in parallel at the same time, you know, when Dash did their whole rebrand. I forget what their name was before it was Dash. But there was this movement to say, hey, how do we rebrand this to more closely identify what this technology represents, right? So what does the coin blockchain technology represent? And that was, you know, kudos to Chad, to you guys, to our media, for hitting it on the head. I mean, private instant verified transaction. At the baseline, that as the tech, that's the core nugget, right? That's in essence what it is. Whatever the value of it's worth, doesn't matter. We're aiming for a private instant verified transaction, right? Simple, to the point, and it's got a sweet ring to it, PIVX, right? And also from an SEO standpoint, it was great because there's not much out there. What I don't think anybody, including some of us who went through the rebrand, could have even imagined is 4 weeks after pushing, you know, after launching it, hitting the, okay, let's go rebrand. Boom, we're sitting here 4 weeks later going, evolved into, you know, it went from this core little nugget of, okay, we're focusing on the technology and rebranding the technology so that people understand what the technology is. And all of a sudden we realize, holy smokes, we have a community, right? All of a sudden we have these relational interwebs and conversations going and an energy source. And Matthias, you know, as you said, and as people are saying, the technology is one aspect of it, right? It's this gigantic community. And so I think, you know, PIVX, as it's identifiable from a technology standpoint, yeah, it's a private instant verified transaction. It's sweet, it's perfect. Like I think what's interesting is PIVX as a name also is an acronym, right? So it was done on purpose. It is an acronym. It stands for private instant verified transaction. But like I quickly go to Nike, right? It's another 4-letter word. Everybody identifies and knows. What does Nike stand for, right? Like it's not an acronym, and to each person, it kind of, it creates a feeling, right? Or it conjures up an emotion when you see the swoosh, when you hear Nike. You know, you get all these iconic feelings of, okay, it's fast, it's swift, it's powerful, it's delicate, right? Like they've evolved over the years to create this brand where you don't even, what does Nike mean? Yeah, I know it was a god, and I understand that, but it's its own entity, right? So I think with PIVX, and this is my perspective, I love almost to the standpoint that there is that freedom, and just for me, that freedom to expand it into something that's beyond private instant verified transaction. Like I've almost begun to think of it as PIVX as the coin is a private instant, or as a technology is a private instant verified transaction. PIVX as a brand, or PIVX as a way of life, or PIVX as a community stands for something else. And that's what I think people are experiencing when they come into the Slack, is it's a different energy, it's a different resonance, and they're going, I came in because I'm reading charts on, you know, CoinMarketCap and seeing this great trend and this stable growth and all this buzz. And why? Because of that community, right? Like that's the ad that's up there. It is, and Matthias says, and I just screwed up your name again. As you described, it's something more than just a private instant verified transaction, right? It is people. It's a power, and not in the Napoleon egotistical, you know, sort of like dictator power. I'm talking about a core resonant power of decency, of respect for one another, of almost like servanthood, of just doing everything to help people who are coming into the community. Like at the end of the day, you look at people who are just jumping and going, and then you work down through the acronym. So I think, do you make an official switch? I don't know, because you know the technology is sort of what nucleated us all together, and it's sort of identifiable in that standpoint. I also do think it's nice to be able to then build off of that, right? Like you can have different, and I think too, like some of the ad campaigns really speak to that, right? Like it's not just these tech images, like this one, they're sitting down having a meal. It conjures up an emotion and evokes a response of community. So I don't really know where I was quite going with that, other than to say, I think what we're experiencing is 4 weeks after doing a brand relaunch, we're sitting here going, this thing is bigger than we all saw 4 weeks ago. And it's a beautiful thing. And what's driving it is that core energy and that community aspect that's connecting us. I personally love the name.
Yeah, that's the brand. The logo is not going to change. The graphics won't change. The icon won't change. What we're talking about is branding beyond the graphic. And what this is the main discussion is, who are we and why are we doing what we're doing? If that's the foundation of our brand strategy, then the what and how become how we market it. And we've done that. We've presented PIVX as a knowledgeable, high tech, but also whimsical, creative community, right? So I like that path, but that was the initial campaign. Tell people who we are. You know, we're not the same old. We're not Dash. We're not Bitcoin. And we're going to be whimsical. We're going to be creative, but we're also going to tell you that it's great technology and we're working on it, but we're doing it as a community. So the graphics themselves, this isn't in question. It's, can we establish a brand story that we all can agree on with core values and whatnot, so that when we do see stuff or how we move forward and people come on board and say, hey, I want to help with the branding, we say, here, start here. The foundation is you filter everything that you think you want to do creatively through these filters. Does it work? Great. Go for it. If not, don't go for it, right?
I have a question. On the YouTube chat, Pim asked if brand is not a word that is constantly used by corporations. So do you think brand is paired to corporation? So can we even be branded?
Right. To me, it's more of a philosophy. So if we want to change the terminology, then let's do that.
I think we can change the history of the word also.
Yeah.
Brand
Yeah,
is
but
a
also
good word.
fine with brand. I think
Story. I use the word story all the time when I work with clients. We talk about the brand story, and you could take brand out of it. What is your story? What is it, something that you want to bring? You want to present your epic story to the world, and you want to bring other people in to be co-actors and participants in that epic story. So what is PIVX's epic story? We could take brand away and just say, what's our story? Because story is what impacts. Story is what moves people. That is the motivator, the inspiration. Everything we do in life is based on story, belief, whatever. You go to a movie, you come out and you're like, I want to be William Wallace, like it moves you and you've entered into that epic story. So that's what I'm kind of getting to. The brand to me is what's PIVX's epic story to the world.
I think in that point, the story needs somebody to be involved a little bit further. The brand is something you can immediately distinguish and see from far away. You just see the symbol, the branding. And that's why corporations use the terminology of branding, because it's a perfect word for that. So just because corporations use the word, why shouldn't we use it too? But you're completely right. We don't, the branding is perfect. We have the branding. We don't need to do branding. But now it comes on terms to storytelling. What story is behind PIVX? The people that start digging deeper. They want to know about our story and what we're standing for and what the community generally is all about. And that's completely right. The story now needs to be told. And that is something that most brands fail in. So that's maybe the second part, the next step to reach the next platform, to go to the room.
So cycling back, so one of the things, and I know part of the reason we're having this is as we have grown from 200 to 2,000 plus members and beyond, the use of the brand, right? That doesn't necessarily fit the story, since we're going to be using those words, right? So, or the core story, right? Because people could say, well, it's my story of PIVX. Understood. Do we create then a space for people to filter? And again, I'm going to say this with giant asterisks around it, saying I don't want to police, right? I don't want to say thumbs up, thumbs down. But do you create a space for people to say, if you care about the community, the story, developing this story richer and deeper, here's a space that you can put it into and have good night. How many people now do we have that are graphic artists and illustrators and people that can provide feedback in an instant, right? Throw it in. If you've got an idea, throw it into this space. Let's see if the community, and let's trust that, right? Trust the community vibe in that space to say, yeah, this fits the story. And so, and that might be something to say, like we create that space for people who are the graphic artists, who are the illustrators, who come up with that brilliant idea at 3 a.m. in the morning, throw it in there, get feedback from community instantaneously. So that way, to a certain degree, it's the community responsibility to say, yeah, it is in alignment with the story. It is in alignment with the resonance. I don't know, just a thought.
Yeah. I think one thing is really, really difficult to code in code guidelines, common sense. And we are all there. Like the community can be the filter. Of course, we need some story, some common story that we will be creating, and it's good to discuss about what is happening. But again, we can be here 1 month in the future, and we're going to have the same discussion. And we're going to look back and say, hey, the story is changing because they are maybe we are only going to be 1/4 of what we will be in 1 month or 2 months. So of course, everybody else will bring their own story and interlink it with the one that we already are starting to walk. So I think that this is a very good idea. Throw it there, let the community be the filter, and let's discuss.
Yeah, and I think it's already happening to a certain degree. I mean, people are throwing stuff into the general room. Like they'll create stuff and they'll throw it in. And I know some people will provide feedback. Maybe this is where it comes down to providing that space. Like, hey, if you want to create graphics, if you want to get feedback from people, you know, if you have any questions, etc. Because some people too, like, and I've noticed they're not aware that on the GitHub they can get the actual, you know, branded everything available to them. So that is another place we can create for individuals to say, hey, and rather than website, you can actually get all the high res logos, you can get the whole branding guideline. You know, again, and it's a lot of people haven't taken the time to read through branding guideline. So that could be then that space where quickly people can go, hey, make sure you try and create space around the shield or the crest. Why? Because, you know, that negative space is important for your eye, and here's why, etc. Which again, some people don't know, and that's absolutely okay. You know, is that something you think we should possibly do on Slack before we start, you know, jumping into other areas? But just say, hey, if you've got a media question about images or creating images, post it in here, get feedback immediately, and we'll run. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that would be good. But also, I want to share maybe the link to the GitHub repository where you can find it. It's github.com/PIVX-project. And there you can find the media kit that Chad provided, also with a brand manual and everything. So if you want to do any kind of media and brand it with PIVX, just go there and look how to use it.
Yeah, it's been great in the community. I've had a number of people just pop in and just private message me saying, you know, how do I use this, or how does this look, or whatever. So that's happening, and I think that's great. I don't mind being kind of a keeper of the brand in that way. I think it to what Brian and Matthias was saying, we maybe should have a short kind of summary list of core values that, like, here's our story. Before you want to go ahead and design something creative, make sure it follows the standard, so the practical standards guide, yes, but then also it filters through the who and why. And once they have those two filters, then it's probably going to be okay, and it's going to be very obvious when it's not.
I absolutely agree here. I like to point out also that we are not the typical crypto, hard to say, but we are a specific kind of crypto people out there. I mean, we are all crypto lovers, aren't we? Otherwise, we won't be here. So, but what defines us? Who are we, and what are we? And it's critical here that we shoot out the message and tell our story and tell the people who we are and what we are and what we fight for, so that the people the crowd can gather and align into these messages and bring their own messages certainly into the whole bowl. But we are not those typical, how do you say it, those shady projects, those people that so I don't know how to say it, but maybe there's some people that are a little bit you don't want to touch this coin really, and we need to set our standards, and our standards are quite high. There are not many projects I met so far where you have such a divergence or you have ultimately high standards, but the people itself and the crew, the crowd, are so down to earth, so normal. They're not even not nerdy is like I'm programming. And so we're having a beer here and keep talking, but we're highly professionals. And this is something we should really send out to the world and tell them, and so that the people can think for themselves and feel for themselves that they feel attached to it. I mean, this is important too, and we need to shoot out that message. I think
we're human.
Amen.
I think at the end of the day, one of the things that the energy or the resonance, Marcus, as you were just saying, is we're not being pretentious. We're not trying to put up a facade. We're not. the flip of it is I've experienced an openness and transparency and realness in PIVX within the community that is very rare within most circles, right? Let alone in crypto. So, and I think that's what catches people by surprise, you know, as I've had private conversations, even public ones, is people come in and go, what in the world is this place, right? Hey, I think we genuinely are here going, here's my open heart. We're a bunch of humans. We don't have our proverbial shit together, right? But we're trying to make this work, right? Like at the end of the day, I've said it on another chat, we're a bunch of 4-year-olds driving around in different sized bodies and aged cars, right? Like at the end of the day, like this vehicle, you know, your vehicle, it's just a different model. We're a bunch of 4-year-olds. The thing is, there's this like perception of, well, when you're dealing with really high tech stuff, or you're dealing with XYZ, or you're dealing with serious life, you need to be a serious individual. There's a time and place for that. I absolutely understand that. I think though, what drives people into PIVX and there's that sense is there's that humanness, there's that open heart, there's that genuineness, and people fall in love with that. And so, you know, whether you call it like the human coin or, you know, whatever it is, but it is a community that's centered on that relational dynamic, I think, more so than most, where other cryptos tend to focus on the crypto first, and then the human component tends to try and be like a byproduct, like we'll figure out how to interface with people later and etc. And we're just here going like, no, dude, like, hey, let's plan a trip and come visit and hang out with, you know, my family and etc. Oh, and by the way, let's go and make some cool marketing stuff. Or, oh, by the way, let's go like develop some stuff, etc. It's an inverse. It's a complete inverse of what's typically been done. So, yeah, it's, I think celebrating the humanness, right? And not in the, like, the crazy sense, but that the real, like looking at somebody across, yeah, I don't care what your skill sets are. It doesn't matter what you do or don't do. You're another soul's planet. You're another human being. And I honor and respect that. That's the sense I get when I walk into PIVX, right? When I enter that Slack channel, there's people I haven't even met now, people, and, you know, tipping people left and right. And it's just like, like, this is amazing. Like, this is just, that's PIVX. That's PIVX.
There you go. Beautiful. Full confession, I'm actually a robot, so I don't know about humanity. No, that's so true. Relationship is key. And that's where when you start to see ads and other marketing materials that there's like, oh, you know what, that kind of hurts people. Or, you know, that then we're like, hey, that's not about PIVX, because we're about relationships. We're about community. So, you know, there's a few others on the chat here. Can anybody else chime in?
Can you hear me, guys?
Yep, go for it.
Yep. Oh, is there an echo? Hold on. All right, I'll quickly say this quickly, but as well as having a personal element, it's important to also remember that our code is pretty good as well. Like, as well as having a fantastic community, which is what is driving us, we've also got to remember that we are on the newest proof of stake Bitcoin that there is. We have got the master nodes. We like the tech is pretty solid too. So let's not leave that behind.
Totally agree, and I think we need to bring that into the marketing conversation story upcoming and ongoing, is to celebrate our tech and you know, talk about what we are doing now.
The word that hit me is excellence.
What's that?
The word that hit me as Cryptosia, as you were just saying that, the word that hit was excellence, right? Striving for excellence, whether it is in your code, whether it's in the development, whether it is in that human dynamic relationship, right? Like, you don't want to half-ass like your relationship with friends, right? Your friend's gonna call you out on it and be like, you're a terrible friend, like you're a garbage friend. Yeah. Like, no, like you want to, like, a friend, that friend who's going to do everything, who will go on the line for you, defend your back, and give their heart and soul for you. That's excellence, right? That is a friend that you would consider of the highest regard. We have both, it seems. That's the feeling I have, is we have that within the community, as cryptos, as you just reminded us, we have that in the code too, right?
Yeah.
We're not presuming to say, oh, we're the best out there. No, we're striving for excellence, right? We're developing and building and taking the best of what's there and then implementing and developing further to create something excellent.
And Marcus said, high standard. I think that applies as well, right? So excellence, high standard. Like whatever we do, let's pursue the high standards, the excellence in tech, in relationship. Customer service. All you guys that are supporting in customer service, you are rock stars. Like those are the conversations we're hearing in other Slack rooms and forums, is that, though there may be troubles and issues with some, wallets or whatever, they stick around and praise the fact that they got support at 2 a.m. and got things running, and, 5 stars for PIVX. So the celebrating the tech and the service that the support channel, I can see a whole ad campaign around, what makes PIVX unique is their high standard of support, right? Because when it comes down to it, a brand, a solid brand that's lasted for years is mostly due to, the product and it works, but it's customer care. And I think you guys are rocking it. And that's a solid brand I wanna go with.
And I think the important word is the one that you just say. Like, people there really care about what the other is going on. So they really care that you get things working. It's not just they feel it's their work or they had to do it, or they truly care, like they are trying to help.
Anybody else? So does anyone want to consider some action items coming out of this? I hear a lot of great things, and I think we need to set a standard or some kind of a core value or a filter for people to understand the tech and the coin and the community and the story. So what do we do from here? What's our story? How do we portray it?
Chad, I really would say, I really like to say the first thank you. You nailed it. We need to define not only a manifesto, but also we need to redefine or define our core values, what we stand for. And I'll give you an example. I party hard, but I work harder. Yeah. So and we need to have, and I'm always trying to be helpful to people. And if noobs are asking dumb questions, I still try to answer them as good as I can. And I think this is a core value of PIVX members. So we need to define those core values and redistribute it and define it.
One thing about being talking about this, like maybe I was not there when you were creating the brand, and this also talk about like the new people around that be open to actually like change the story with the stories of the new people coming. And at one point, maybe about like, it's not kind of redefining the core values, because you got like really good core values there, but you were not that many people, so you couldn't aim for more. You couldn't aim for a realistic thing that is, let's do a private instant verifying transaction. Let's do that. Let's do it right. They put high standard excellence and go there. And the thing is that people, as Brian liked to say, like people resonated with that. You really welcome and were open to all these new people. And now you have like true power, like really a lot of people with like that are helping and want to see this grow. And it's not that we have to redefine anything. We can add new things, that we can add new core values that we can also pursue. Like we can I don't know, like we can try to create, for example, like a true close community, intimate community that is going to be using this currency and not only doing the tech for others to use. because it's there. We have all these new people that wants to participate.
Mm-hmm.
Jumping off of what Marcus, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I think with our core values, I think the problem, I obviously can't go into too much detail about it, but the problem that we have sometimes with our values is that we've actually down on what we present to people. We don't actually include common sense in those values. So when we first started, and when I joined the Slack, maybe there was like 20 or 30 people in there, like 5 or 6 active, and then a couple who would drop in and out, and everybody was just nice. And it was kind of like, okay, these are going to be our values. We're all going to, we've got something that works. We've all been in crypto for a little while, so we know what's going to make it bad. We know how flame wars start. We know how projects go off the rails and how they get co-opted. Let's try to avoid those things. And the other values, which we're now having to incorporate, which Matthias has come across with the explosion that we're trying to control with these 2,000 people in little over a week, are a lot of them are what the people who started, and even the people in this chat, would consider common sense values. So it's difficult for us to add those common sense values to our values, if that makes any sense. Like, privacy is not so much a common sense value, whereas, you know, like other things are obviously common sense values, without going into too much detail about it. So I think that's where our patience has to be had, and that's why we've struggled so much in handling this problem, because it wasn't something that we would have intended to come across at all.
So what you just described is there was the unspoken trust and decency level, right, within an early select members here. And I think partially that's why this thing has exploded, is that inherent common sense, trust, respect for one another. Just don't say that stupid stuff, right? Like, you don't post that because, like, it might be funny as all get out, but, like, come on, like, common sense. Some people might not have that filter, right? And it's not a bad thing. It's just, it's not there for them, or they're not used to it, or whatever it is. So I think, you know, the community guidelines and standards is something to really go back and maybe explore, and then as they come in and say, look, you're welcome to be part of the community. We ask that you read through these and just say, like, does this resonate with you? If it does, awesome. If it doesn't, that's okay. But be courteous, right? Be respectful of this community that's growing. The other thing too, and maybe this comes full circle, is we have PIVX as private instant verified transaction, right? Why not take the same letters and write that into the manifesto, right? We've already started to talk about how PIVX from a community energy standpoint stands for something else. Why not continue the same exact branding into our manifesto, right? PIVX is private instant verified transaction. Boom, that's a technology. PIVX is this, right? P stands for boom, 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 boom. And this is how it applies to the community. And this is what we ask and expect of the community as they're here. And then that sort of, I don't want to say it solves the issue. It expands the brand into saying PIVX is yes, this, it also is this. This is what our community is, and this is what it means.
I had one thought that we've talked about core values, we've talked about filters, we've talked about community, we've talked about image, and how I think for me it's best summarized is whenever we're dealing with anything that represents PIVX, that represents a community, is it something that can be discussed at that table that you see on the screen right now, presented, even maybe pull out some papers and show your ideas and start scratching something out on a napkin or whatever, or could you stand at the head of that table and say, I'd like to talk about whatever, and if it doesn't fit in that environment, chances are keep it to yourself or direct message somebody. And you know, that's kind of like the high level way I look at some of this stuff. And I think we do need to change the guidelines and perhaps change some of the manifesto. What we've got is great, but we did it on our own. We never really, we never invited the masternode owners to vote on it and give it their stamp of approval. So we should do that too at the same time. So leave it as it is right now. Maybe we tweak it, or maybe we propose a complete rewrite, but it shouldn't change unless we get the masternodes to sign off on it, because then it's even more than what it is now. It's got the, you know, the stamp of approval. But I guess that's all I wanted to say is I just look at that table and I think, you know, I guess that could be one family. Chances are it's a group of families, a group of people that are involved in something, but it doesn't matter. Like that's a community, and everything that we want to filter or discuss, it should be thought of, can you do it in that setting? If you can, great. Right?
Yeah, I think that, yeah, that picture could be us at Vegas, and there's no way there's no way that when I go to that and I sit in that table, things that I would say and do, they have to follow certain guidelines. It's quite simple. Going back to the manifesto, we've got manifesto is still in draft. So when we was writing it, we were kind of like, okay, yeah, manifesto, whatever. It wasn't really an issue because we weren't expecting to have 2,000 people. So the main reason why we had the manifesto initially was so that we didn't get co-opted like Dash did, so that we didn't as price as opposed to sticking to our core values. And for that, it's kind of still doing its job. It definitely needs to be rewritten, or something has to be added about family. Because what we didn't consider is that our technology can be being used by children. Our technology can be being used by people who are under 18. People can come and join our Slack, and there's no reason for us to stop them, and they could be 14 years old. If that's the case, we have to have, regardless of anything else, just common decency standards, a level of interaction that can take place at our table in Vegas. Otherwise, like, we go against our core values outside of even crypto, just as regular human beings. So I think it is very important, but we have to remember that the manifesto is not complete by action, and we originally written it with the hopes of it developing as we develop, and there's no reason for that to stop now. And luckily, which is something I thought of in the morning after, is that what's happened even in that situation where we've all discussed it, and thank the heavens Matthias showed up when he did, that we had an explosion, a true explosion, and we somehow managed to control that explosion. Somehow we managed, without any experience of having been through it again, because nobody in the history of crypto has been through what we've been through, we managed to control it. And even the problems that we were having, they were all in the place where those problems should have been. So all in all, not to say that we should all pat ourselves on the back, but all in all, I think that we're recognizing our brand, we're sticking with our brand, and this is actually what our brand is about. So the way that we're discussing it, the way that we're getting to our next destination is all a part of the PIVX brand. It's about being open, it's about being honest, and it's about being as good a person as you possibly can be at the same time as having your privacy.
I think it's about also growing, not only like the community, but also ourselves. Like learning should be a really, really high standard there. And this thing, like even like about branding, like that, Chad, you know so much. Like, let's create a learn channel. There will be so many people interested in hearing about what you have to say. And let's get everybody up. A lot better content, because we really care about like even improving their skills. Let's push everybody up.
Yeah, that's also a thing. Maybe for the people in the live stream on YouTube. What do you think? What can the people now do while everybody is maybe working on the manifesto or the core values? What can they do now? Can they still make videos or create pictures or whatever? What do you think? Would you say yes? So would you support someone who's now doing pictures and everything and maybe posting them in the Slack?
Sarah, I'm not sure we understand the question. So are you asking if Chad's still willing to be the point man on all this?
No, what my question is, we heard a lot about that maybe the manifesto has to be changed, or that maybe some core values may be changed or specified. Should people still be posting stuff, or should they wait until it is ready?
No. Like, we don't know how to modify it if people don't continue to work.
Okay, so
I think we should carry on as normal, because the train's moving. So we're already doing it. I think we just need one simple word needs to be added to the manifesto. The word is family. That's the only word you need to add. Once you add that word, it changes the way a person treats everybody else. You don't do certain things around your family. You're nicer. Or some people aren't, but who knows? But when they come around this family, we add that word. I think that encompasses our next step of integration. That encompasses the human element, which wasn't really realized as such a strength of ours when the manifesto was first written. I think we add that, and then we crack on.
Yeah. Now that's really good. I also like the word home, that is also related to family in a more also like broad sense, and maybe like you can have a home with friends, like at some stages in your life, and that's your family also. It's true. But like, I think that what we did in Slack and why people feel welcome and feel good is because we invite them to our home, and we are not dressing nicely, let's say, to receive them or whatever. Like, we are just continue working, and we receive them and we say like, hey, look, like this is how our home works. Like, if you want to help, there are these spaces. Like, just get there and do your thing. If you need something else, there is tons of space and land to keep doing more spaces to work on. So like, let's extend the home as far as we need, and let's work on that. And I think that also like this related, like family, home, these are the core values, and from there all of the other ones are. Like, for example, one value that I really like, that I think like is strange with this exponential growth, like, we need more patience. People are kind of trying to get like to everybody at the same time, and we don't want to be everybody. Like, if we become the world, then I think we fail, because we are not wanted to become everybody. We want to be one of a lot of communities that have their own values and their own stories. Like, PIVX cannot cover the whole world. Like, I think that's not our story. Like, we want to be able to be one example of a good community that shares some common values and works towards them. And I hope that we can get like related to other communities, like we are doing with Fermat, that we will maybe do with other communities later, that are also going to have their own core values, that maybe they are the same as us, as the one that we have. Like, maybe their priorities are different.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe for them, family is not as important as the one inclusivity as their main value, and they are fighting for that. So I think that like, we shouldn't try to, like, let's say, like, cover the whole world as PIVX. And this is kind of like something that Brian said, like, look, when you came here, like this, we show you how our homework. Do you like it? Please stay with us and work with us. You don't like something and you have some suggestion, please stay. And if you're respectful, be open to change anything that will work us better. You don't feel comfortable here, you don't feel comfortable with these core values, there are other communities for you to participate in. Like, I don't feel that we are going to be excluding someone that came and want to be racist or want to be sexist or want to be these kind of things. Like, I don't feel that we will be kind of like, I don't know, like fighting against freedom of speech or whatever. There is, like, they have other spaces to talk. Like, this is our home. When you go to the home of one people or community, you enter and you don't start screaming. You first try to see who lives there, what they are doing, and slowly start to understand how to interact with them, help, or whatever. Also, like, if you want to scream a little, do a joke, like, everybody will crack and it's fine. Like, but I mean, like, you are entering a home, like, just like slow down and check what we're doing here.
But please take off your shoes.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Okay, Chet, do you want to maybe resume with your presentation?
That's kind of the bulk of what I wanted to present, but we can talk about, I know one of the questions was, hey.
That's family, you see?
This is family,
Right.
we stop.
Everybody
Right.
stop. I'll be here.
Aw, cute factor. Way to go. The question was, who owns the brand? I think that was one of the questions. And the simple answer is when any company or organization hires us, the company owns the brand. We don't own it. Although in the creative world, in creating art and all that, there is what's called a essence creator has a moral right to the art. But in the corporate world, the company, the organization owns the brand. Now, what's different about PIVX and this community is that there is no company, and though there's an organization, there's no incorporation or anything. So when we hand over brand standards to a company, they keep it pretty close, and they only certain people in the community or company use it, manage it. The standards guides, the files are not accessible to everybody. So this is a new thing for us in the crypto world, is like, hey, everyone, here's the logos, have at it. So that's something that we could talk about. But the bottom line is we don't own the brand. But when it comes to the creation, the artwork, we will go after anyone who distorts it, wants to destroy it, demean it. I think as a community, we should do that. Go ahead, Matthias.
It's like all this stuff, it is licensed, like kind of like, can we put it in kind of some Creative Commons that everybody can use it with a proper license explaining? Like, can we really put it, like we can put it to the community in this sense, or even like to the broad public? Like, I don't know if somebody needs to own it. Like, let's make it public.
Yeah, it isn't owned. It isn't owned by. I mean, it's out there right now. There's a link you can have access.
It has a license, like the logo is Creative Commons or some other license, or not?
No, Creative Commons doesn't apply to the. Oh, go ahead, Eric.
I was just going to say that we were going to follow what Dash did, and they did use Creative Commons, but they had when I researched it at the time, and this is before they launched their new website, so obviously that would be a key time, perfect time to revisit licensing, and they did, and I wasn't able to find it this time around. When I probably got sidetracked, but I was digging to try and find it again. But when they had the old site, they had it on some kind of Creative Commons licensing. I don't remember the exact name of the license, but basically it said you can use the logo any way you want as long as you support Dash. So you couldn't come up with some other business and use their logo to, change the letter, I don't know, use the exact same style and font and brand and color and all that, and change it a letter and copy it and use it for your own business. No, you couldn't do that. You also couldn't damage the Dash brand. So if you were just creating a fan website, Y Dash or whatever, you were free to go ahead and grab their creative and use it to promote Dash. And I think that's what we want. But we also want to make sure that, we have strength in the license where we can stop people from damaging the brand, from using it for, crazy purposes that we never intended. But the question was asked. That's why I did that homework again recently. And I didn't finish it because I couldn't come up with couldn't find exactly what we want. It may be that we do pick some kind of otherwise reasonably open license, and then add a condition to it or something like that. But so the short answer is no, it's not Creative Commons. What is it? We don't know yet. So
Okay.
we'll have to
Maybe-
we should get on that, but that's where it's
Maybe
at.
PIVX could belong to PIVX. I mean, the PIVX brand and the logos belong to the PIVX community. So now it's hard for the lawyers to find out who's PIVX.
It's kind of like Linux, right? Linux
Yes.
is owned by the entire world. So Microsoft could never buy out Linux because Microsoft would have to make a deal with every person in the entire world, including babies that are just
Exactly.
about to be born. So, and I like that, Marcus. And in fact, there's a couple of spots where I've actually typed, copyright, that copyright symbol, the PIVX community, right? Good luck figuring out who that is and whatever. But, so. And if we ever need to enforce it, I'm sure the community will rally, and there'll be a bunch of people from the community stomping on whoever's trying to break it, right? So, but.
I like that.
We're all just staring at Brian's child right now. So.
Lily, say hi.
Oh, she's really cute. Hi.
Yeah. Hello.
Okay, so we're actually family here.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
To put that in stone. Okay. Do you think that there could maybe be some legal issues with a brand in some way? Did you maybe hear that from other projects or something like this, that there was a legal problem in some way? Or maybe with the thing that the community owns the brand?
Maybe Pepsi is not happy about PIVX, the P in PIVX. So I don't know. Generally.
But we should also start thinking when we talk about these kind of things, like let's ask the community. We have 2,300 or more people. Like maybe there is a license expert already between us. Like
Yeah,
if
if there is someone who's watching, and I believe if he's interested in marketing and branding, he's probably watching. If you know any kind of license or something we could do to protect the brand in some way, maybe you just send any of us a message and let us know, and maybe we can discuss it further.
Yeah, but I think that definitely we can get a good license because I think we are protecting already in open source and open data, like more sensitive stuff, let's say. I know that brand maybe is not exactly easy to protect, but like there is already a lot of license that cover so much ground, and the legality is already kind of, there's a lot of trials already won and everything. So legality, I don't think if we choose the right license, if that will be an issue.
But who will fight for it and enforce it? And I mean, do you want to go to a trial and to a judge or whatever and fight for that? I mean, I wouldn't do that at all. I mean,
No.
the creators of the brand, they just should add a kind of this brand belongs to the PIVX community. Have fun, sort it out, and never use this logo against. And then you can set some terms. That's completely okay. But that's it. And if people start misusing, then as you said, have fun with the rioting community. I mean, no company in the world would like to fight against a crypto community. So. If we start protecting the brand with legal systems, then we are with 1 feet in the world we are trying to escape from. So I'm not sure about that.
The English idiom is "let sleeping dogs lie." Right? Like don't involve lawyers and stuff. I mean, we're plenty strong as it is on that. When the branding was done, we made sure we weren't. There's no obvious infringement anywhere. So, and with all the material we're pumping out, it's clear we're there first. I don't think there's going to be an issue.
Yeah, but
and any judge in the world will accept it.
Yeah, in the codes, like in the core code that we are doing, we have a license, and we are. I think like I don't know what exactly we use because I didn't check that part, but what it is like MIT or. Spock, do you know our license for code?
John?
Maybe he stepped away.
Spot?
GPL, isn't
But
it?
like, what I mean is that like
Oh,
we
can
don't
you
have
say
to.
the question again?
That's like if you know what is the license that we have for the core code, like is MIT, is like
PPL.
what?
I don't actually know. I'd say likely MIT. Yeah, not certain.
Okay. The thing is that we're already doing that for like the more sensitive part, I think, of our core like technology. And it's not that we are getting involved in the system. Like there is a lot of people that already.
But we had to, because we are copying. The big parts of the code are copying. Yeah. So we had to put the original license into it. That's a completely different story to our newly created brand. So the brand is unique and never has been before there. And every lawyer and every judge in the world will just look who was the first. Obviously they are the first, and then we are right. So we don't need to protect us so much. So I think we are
Even Marcus, even if there was somebody, it has to be in the same business sphere, right? It has to be somebody else that, like
Yep.
If they make shoes and we're doing crypto, it's a non-issue.
Yes.
Right. So they have to be that, they have to be in crypto as well. So no, it's a non-issue.
Yeah. So the only potential thing, and I mean, let's just face it, somebody could do it if they really wanted to, is in theory, somebody could trademark PIVX, right now, and file for that. And if they got in the queue, in theory, they'd have it. I think they'd have a hard time, though, from a community standpoint, stopping it. But from at least U.S. regulations, in theory, it could be filed and put out. So there is that aspect.
That is why. Yeah, that is why even if we don't enforce it, even if we don't use the lawyers,
I don't think that's true. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure in the UK, if you'd done something like that, we'd have things like the fact that our website's been up for so long, and even our Steam articles or any of our Instagram images, because they're timestamped, aren't they? So you could always go back to that and say, okay, well, look, we were using it first. Even if you haven't yourself registered it, you can still turn around and say you were using it first. I'm quite sure that's how it works in the UK. I would assume it would be the same in the US. So I wouldn't worry about somebody else trying to trademark it because we're already using it. So they would have to show that they were using it before we were.
And good luck with him. He will not be member of our family. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. I think it would be too much hard work. It would be too much hard work. But one thing I did want to ask, if for example somebody decided that they wanted to build a PIVX online casino, and the casino was trying PIVX, and the community was kind of okay, maybe kind of okay, but kind of not. How would that person get the okay as to whether or not they could use our brand in their own advertising?
Yeah,
it wouldn't coincide with our brand standard from both brand standard basics to our story. So we could tell them that it's not to be used if we like to. I mean, this is the difference. Like anyone can put a $ on their site and say we accept, US dollars or Canadian dollars, and there's no brand. You're not going to violate a brand. But PIVX, if you put the shield on your site and say we accept PIVX, and you're dealing in criminal activity or even stuff that maybe we just don't want to be a part of, that's different. And can we tell them to stop? That's what I don't know.
No, I mean more than that. So it's not that the casino is called Carl's Casino.
PIVX
like
World.
The casino might be called PIVX Casino.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I think that's what
borderline.
We got to bounce
That's
off,
me.
guys. Just want to say bye-bye real quick.
All right. See you, Brian.
Bye, everybody.
Okay,
Yes,
bye,
happy-
Brian.
Bye-bye.
Have fun.
So Cryptosi, I think that's what the trademarking is about. When you trademark, you can stop people from doing things. It's not so much that if someone trademarked our brand afterwards, that we try to stop them, but more that if you do trademark it, you can prevent people from, using it to do other things.
But what if we didn't mind them using it? What if it was something that we'd say, okay, like it's all right, but maybe it become a decision which was, maybe it was something like a casino, which is half and half. So some people might be for it, some people might be against it. How would we negotiate something like that?
Can't
No
we?
idea.
I mean, this is maybe out of scope. Why should we anyway? We have our core values. We stand for that. We don't support any kind of activities that are against those core values. So whatever individuals are doing out there is, I mean, you cannot fight people that are using cars, because with cars you can make terrorist attacks. I mean, you in London, you know it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I kind of agree
it's
with
the same
Mark. It's
thing.
just, let them do it if they want to. We can't control everything, and we shouldn't try to.
Okay.
But we should certainly protect our names somehow. So if somebody is claiming to do his activities in the name on behalf of PIVX, this is a complete different story. But this is not about trademarking or branding. This is about, I mean, it's getting personal, huh? And then that's something different.
Well, it's where PR comes into play. When somebody does something with your brand, you have to have a public relation kind of strategy around, like, how are we going to handle this, community? So we make an official statement and say, this is not associated with PIVX community. We are not part of this, period. I mean, you have to have a public relations strategy or response to these kind of things. Whether we could fight them or not, we still need to have some kind of PR response to people, destroying, degrading, defaming our brand.
So going forward, would it be a good idea to maybe have a page on the website or somewhere like that where we list the organizations that we are at or partnered up with? I think we've already got one. We've already got one, haven't we?
Yeah, we can do that, and we can also have a page saying we do not associate with these guys.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. So then, if we do find out about somebody who's trying to do something like secretly in our name, then at least we could turn around and say, okay, look, like, this community has got nothing to do with that, and here's the proof, kind of thing. Okay. Okay.
I own a trademark in US and in Canada, and it was an interesting process when I went through it. And to be honest, nowadays, if I was starting a brand new business, I would just make sure I got, the domain I wanted, and that's it. Because once you have a trademark, it's like any legal system. They just want your money. So what they do is, they create this slippery slope where you're in this position where you're just gonna have to spend. So for my trademark, if I see somebody infringing on it, even a little bit, I have to go after them. I have to send them a cease and desist letter. If I don't, and it's proven that I was aware of them, or that they did so much marketing, how could I not have been aware of them? If I don't protect that trademark, then even though I was first to use it, it will be taken away from me, because it should have been my responsibility to send them the cease and desist early on, before they invested all this time and energy and money in their marketing. And I didn't do that. So, there's that game that gets played in the legal system too. And so wow. I would rather that, based on my experience, that PIVX not go down that road at all. We just ignore all the legal and all that stuff, and we just build on the strength of our community. And some of the scenarios have already been described, where if somebody's using PIVX the way we don't think they should be, we go through some steps, talk to them, try to get them to change their ways, and if they don't, then we make an announcement that we do not associate with them at all, or whatever it may be. and there'll be other things that we haven't thought of that we'll have to deal with on the fly. But I guarantee that's going to be a better way of dealing with it than trying to go the whole route of trademarking and all that stuff. That's, you know, people could have a different opinion than me, but that's based on my experience. That's the way I would go.
I agree, Eric. And I think we have enough web tech talent that if we see somebody doing something, we could probably just take their site down.
I didn't want to say it, but yeah.
Some sort of DDoS attack, you know. Oh, whoops.
Yeah, they won't be up for long.
Speaking of that, I think PIVX is not up right now. So if anybody knows where CoinServer is,
our.org.
Yeah. Is there anything else we need to discuss about the brand then? It's been a great discussion.
I think I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also.
Yeah, I think we've covered most of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me
Questions?
just check if we have some questions from the YouTube. But if you have questions, please ask. Yeah, actually, many people ask how they can chip in and help to promote PIVX. So, any thoughts on that? Like, yeah, actually making pictures, also videos.
Yeah, if anybody wants to use the brand, I mean, there's a folder that we're creating that's a shared Dropbox of all things that we've created. Those can be reshared, reused, reposted anywhere. If somebody wants to do a design, feel free to pass it by the community or an idea. We can roll with it. If it's a video, we've got graphics, video bumpers, things that the community has started to create that we could use. I'm starting to brand some of the higher arching kind of marketing initiatives like PIVX Times, PIVX Live, you know, those kind of things we can still manage. Yeah, even just send us ideas if it's just ideas. You're like, oh, this would be a great marketing campaign. Have at it, Rhubarbarians, and I can set the team going on it.
So what I get out of the chat, they all don't really like the trademark path, as you said, Eric. And I'm also, yeah, absolutely.
We all agree. I'll share the Dropbox link again, and for those that want to reuse any of the graphics that we've done, feel free.
Yeah, awesome, very good. I'll also share it in the comments on the video. And yeah, I say thank you for having this discussion. I think it is maybe sometimes necessary to talk about it, to not jump into any surprises or something like that. And yeah, thank you very much, Chad, also for sharing what you're doing with the brand.
Right on. Thanks, team. It's good.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye to the viewers.
Bye.
Cool.
Yeah. Peace out, Trad.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, and for all the people who watch the live stream, leave us a like and subscribe if you want to see more live streams. Bye-bye.